Hi everybody, Rusty Albertson, Director of Communications here at St. Mark, the Evangelist Catholic Church, joined by Pastor Tim. Father, how are you?
I'm doing well. Pastor Tim. I've never been called that before.
Well, you know, it's something new every day. And today, we haven't met for a while. We've been busy, haven't you?
We've been very busy, but it's been a while since we've done it. We used to call these Between the Candles, but there's no candles in this
I know.
room. So.
Well, we're just between each other.
Yeah.
So today Father's going to give us kind of an update on what's going on during the Advent season.
That's right. As of now, we are recording this on November 30th, which is the last day before we start the first Sunday of Advent and the brand new liturgical year. I have a cheat sheet here, which is going to be in the narthex of everything that's going on, but I just wanted to give a little blurb on each one and a little plug for each one on what we have coming up. First of all, Advent is, just like Lent, is one of those seasons of anticipation when we turn to violet, which is, so leading up to Christmas. But Advent and Lent, I think the biggest difference is Advent is more about preparing ourselves for the coming of Christ. Lent is more about purifying ourselves and doing penances to celebrate with Christ. So when I say that Advent is the season of preparation, there's an element of that, of course, that we look to the past. We're preparing to celebrate Christmas, to celebrate the Incarnation 2,000 years ago, and all of that wonderful stuff. But one of the things I think people don't think about is Advent is also about preparing to meet Christ here and now in our lives, but also then in the future when he comes again. In fact, if you pay attention to the Advent readings, the first half of Advent, they're about the second coming, the apocalypse, the end of the world. The second half, they start focusing on the first coming, on Christ. So concerning the preparing ourselves to meet Christ now, what we always try to do is offer as much spiritual enrichment opportunities as we can during the season of Advent. Now, this year, Christmas falls on a Monday, which if you're to ask all the pastors around, that is the worst day it can fall, because that means there's no fourth week of Advent, really. Right. Christmas Eve is the first Sunday of Advent, but we'll get to that. I want to talk about what we have coming up. So first, this first Sunday of Advent, which is December 2nd and 3rd, our spiritual opportunity is going to be a presentation from Deacon Tom Horn. Now, were you here when here? Yeah. Deacon Tom Horn was assigned here before we had Deacon Paul or Deacon Nick. He's a Southsider. He's a great guy. He's going to give a presentation on preparing for the coming of Christ especially through the lens of Mary and Joseph. So that is Sunday afternoon, December 3rd, and that starts at 5 p.m. in Schaefer Hall. So we're going to welcome Deacon Horn back here to St. Mark. And then, as is the case with Lent, the church encourages us to go to confession during Advent. Now, of course, throughout Advent, every Wednesday we have confession at 5 p.m. to about 5:25 before the 5:30 Mass. Every Saturday we have confessions at 3. We also will have our joint penance service with St. Jude this year, and it's at St. Jude during Advent. That is on Wednesday, December 6th, starting at 7 p.m. So I would recommend you get there early, 6:45. Get yourself lined up towards where one of the stations are. We'll start at 7, and you'll be able to get to a priest and get out. There'll be about 10 priests that'll be there for that.
And that's at St. Jude?
And that is at St. Jude. It'll be back here during Lent that we do that in conjunction with them. The Holy Day of Obligation that comes every year during Advent is an exciting one. December 8th is the Immaculate Conception. That's the patronal feast of our country as well. Pope Pius the 9th, Pope Pius, one of the Piuses, dedicated the United States to the
I'm glad you weren't asking me.
Yeah, it's the 9th or 10th or 11th, one of them. He dedicated the United States to the Immaculate Conception, to that as our patronal feast. December 8th is a Friday, so we're going to have the 3 opportunities for Mass. It's a Holy Day of Obligation. Thursday, December 7th, the Vigil Mass at 7 p.m., and then for the early birds, Friday, December 8th, 6:30 a.m., and then Friday, December 8th, 11 a.m., to be able to celebrate the Immaculate Conception of Mary, which is an exciting day as well. And then we get into the second Sunday of Advent, which is December 9th and 10th. Our spiritual event for that is Eucharistic Adoration. After the Mass on Saturday, December 9th, and after the 4:30 p.m. Mass, we'll have, for anyone who's seen this before, we've done this quite a bit, but Mass will end with the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, and then an hour later, at about 6:20, we will begin benediction and end with the blessing with the monstrance of benediction. It's a great opportunity for some quiet time, quiet prayer, a holy hour, as we call it in our tradition, with the Eucharist during that second Sunday. The third Sunday of Advent, which is essentially the final Sunday before Christmas, we have our annual Holy Seasons concert. So that is all the St. Mark choirs, children's choir, ensemble, the adult choir, the men's choir. They all come together. Anyone that's ever been there can tell you we ought to charge for it. It's an amazing event. If you went down to the Indiana Repertoire Theater, you'd pay a lot of money to come see this, but it's free. So it's in the church. It starts at 7 p.m. and that is on December 17th. That's the third Sunday of Advent, the pink Sunday of Advent. Trivia for you. Do you know what the pink Sunday of Advent is called?
I used to, but I forgot. Go ahead, tell us.
Gaudete Sunday.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I had it right there.
Which means joyful Sunday. So come for the Holy Seasons concert. It's a great night. And it's really, we have one of the best music ministries around. So,
and then after that, there's a little reception afterwards?
That's right. You go to Schaefer Hall, get some punch and cookies, and congratulate the choir on their amazing jobs. Now then we get to the fourth Sunday of Advent, which is Christmas Eve. And this is a little confusing this year, so I think, and we're going to write about this and remind people, but this is an exciting opportunity that we have two obligations to fulfill. We have our obligation for the fourth Sunday of Advent, and we have our obligation for Christmas. And as is the case, we can't fulfill two obligations with just one Mass. So instead of saying you have to go to Mass twice, I like to say you get to go to Mass twice in relatively short order. So, and you can really pick however you want to do this. For the fourth Sunday of Advent, which is December 23rd and 24th, essentially, we'll have the normal December 23rd Vigil Mass at 4:30 p.m. That's Saturday. That's our, for your fourth Sunday. Then on the morning of the fourth Sunday of Advent, which is also Christmas Eve, December 24th, we'll have a 7 a.m. and the 9:30 a.m. in English and the 11:45 a.m. in Burmese. That is for the fourth Sunday. You can go to any of those Masses. It'll fulfill your fourth Sunday. Then between that 11:45 in Burmese and we're going to, turn the lights on to the Christmas trees. They'll probably already be set up. But we'll then go into Christmas Masses starting at 4:30 p.m. Christmas Eve. That's the big one where we have Schaefer Hall open with chairs and things. And we do so that'll be 4:30 p.m. and then midnight on Christmas Eve. Come early. There's going to be carols and songs by the choirs to keep us in the spirit. And then if you go to either of those.
And our midnight Mass is truly at midnight?
Truly at midnight. It starts at 12 midnight, yep. Which is it's a beautiful Mass if you've never been to ours. It's late, but it's worth it if you've never been. Then Christmas Day, which is Monday the 25th, we do our normal 10 a.m. in English and 12 p.m. in Burmese. So again, you can go Saturday night and Sunday night to get your fourth Sunday and your Christmas. You could go Sunday morning and Sunday evening to get your fourth Sunday and Christmas. You could go Sunday morning and Monday morning to get your fourth Sunday and Christmas. So you have lots of options to get those two Masses in those 3 days. To celebrate Christmas.
Just real quick, a little bit too on New Year's, because everybody wonders, is there a Mass on New Year's?
Yes, that's a good question as well. So New Year's Day is also on Monday. That's normally a holy day of obligation. Because it falls on Monday this year, Mary, Mother of God, which is what that is not a holy day of obligation, but we will still have the solemnity to celebrate Mary. So New Year's Eve, which is, December 30th and 31st, that weekend, is the normal Mass schedule.
Right.
In fact, it's the final weekend of our old schedule. So 4:30 p.m. on that Saturday, 7, 9:30, 11:45 on that Sunday. And then that Sunday as well, we're going to do, for anyone, because for a lot of people it's their tradition to go to Mass on New Year's Eve. Yeah. You could go to 4:30 p.m. that Sunday. Now here's an interesting thing. Because you don't have the obligation on Monday, if you go to the 4:30 for New Year's Eve, that will fulfill your Sunday obligation.
The one before?
Yeah, so it'll be Mass for Mother of God instead of Holy Family.
I got you.
But we will basically what we're doing that Sunday is adding a 4:30 Mass. There's not going to be music because that's going to be on 10 a.m. on Monday. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not obligatory on Monday. It's not obligatory to go to Mother of God, but it's still a great thing to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a lot of people like to go to Mass either the last thing you do on Christmas, on New Year's Eve, or the first thing you do on New Year's morning. Right. So we'll have those options. And then after that, we go back to normal. Yeah. And then, of course, then the next weekend is when we begin our exciting new schedule of 8:30, 10:30, 12:30.
And I know as I know there's only a couple things that pastors don't like to do. One is change Mass times. We've already went through the whole story on why we did, and I know that there's been some people who ask why we do this, and good. But I really, everything that I've heard from people is, I think it's going to be a positive thing. It's going to be a change.
It is. It's a change, but I really think it's going to revitalize and enliven our Sunday mornings, especially with those more full, more vibrant Masses that we get to have. But that will begin on the 6th and 7th of January. So lots coming up. The good news is you don't have to. There's not going to be a test. You don't have to. Everything I just said. We're going to have posters in the narthex. It'll be in the bulletin. I think she's even making a handout that you can take home.
Right.
So all these dates and times, all these events, you'll have it right in front of you.
Yeah.
I really hope to see you at as many of them as you can.
Yeah. And I think a couple things too. Since we last had a candles, we've had a couple of really big events. I know that you want to thank people for. First was the 75th anniversary.
It was incredible.
Archbishop.
Yeah.
A little bit about your thoughts on how that went.
That could not have, in my mind, that could not have been a better night as far as just how many people came out, how exciting it was, how
well run it was,
how joyful it was. The Archbishop himself was super impressed and was just, it was a great night.
And the second thing was our first ever, what did we call it?
Outrageous Bingo.
Outrageous Bingo.
Yes, which was an incredible success. It actually, not only as a fundraiser, which it really was, I think this coming weekend we're going to be able to announce the total net income, but also just as a fellowship event.
Absolutely.
People had a blast. So it was great. For everyone that came out to one or both of those, that was awesome, and thank you very much.
Well, we thank everybody for joining us this week. A little bit of an update on what the Advent schedule is going to be and some other things going on. As you start to begin the Advent season with your family, we look forward to you being here at St. Mark with us and growing in our faith. We hope you have a great Advent season, and we will talk with you all very soon. Have a great week.
God bless.